We would like to acknowledge that the episodes in this series are produced on the traditional unceded lands of the Coast Salish peoples, which includes the territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. We thank them for allowing us to be their guests.
This episode is all about my old friend Bill Dow. He's an excellent actor, writer, director, and educator, and I'm sure you'll enjoy our conversation. I was saying, we talked about it a little bit in the last time we shot about we've started. Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah.
That's good. This is like,
I know, this is verite.
I know. It's good.
I think I'll have some cheese.
We don't want to feature the bird shit.
No, if we
But-
go,
Okay. Not so obvious. Okay, sorry, honey.
all right.
15 minutes or so.
Yeah, 20 minutes. Okay. We talked about the etiquette of an interview show, really.
Right.
You know, where really I would have all my questions prepared
Right.
and probably maybe even have sent them to you.
In some
You know.
cases, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, it would be pretty homogenized. And I could do all my cutaways afterwards.
Yes.
After you,
Which they
after,
do all
after
the time,
driver
right?
had taken you away.
Right.
Right. But
And there'd be an over the shoulder from you on
yeah.
to me, right?
Yeah.
And then after I go, you could go back and, oh, that's really interesting.
I don't
you know?
want to do that. Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to do that. I mean, why?
Right.
You know,
No, it's good.
crackers not good. So we'll go back to what we did before, when we were trying to get this right at Jericho. Tell me how you got here.
How I got here? Where? Okay, give me
Vancouver.
Vancouver.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And your career life and all that.
I got to Vancouver. You know, it's great that I have so little short-term memory because I can't remember.
You can't remember how you got here.
No, I can remember how I got here. I can't remember talking about it before. So it'll all be fresh.
Good. Good.
I got to Vancouver. I followed a girl,
Yes, right. Yes.
which,
Did work out.
well, it worked out briefly.
Huh?
And I was in a show. So okay, blah, blah, blah. I went to university, drama department, decided I'd had enough, quit. Somebody offered me a job.
This was Regina.
This was in Saskatoon.
Saskatoon.
University of Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Tom Kerr
Yeah.
was there. Eric Schneider was there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just quit. But then people just kept offering me jobs. So after about a year of working steadily as a professional actor, I decided, I guess that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I went out and got a headshot and a resume and all that kind of stuff. Then I was working around, mostly in the prairie cities, at various theaters, and I did a show at the Globe in Regina, and there was a woman on the show,
Mm-hmm.
and she lived in Vancouver. And I had
Right.
kind of been thinking at that time that I was going to go to Toronto, because I'd been to Toronto a couple of times, and it just seemed like the place you go, right?
Yeah.
But she was coming here, and I thought, well, I got the summer off. Why, what the hell? So I came out here, followed her, and we hung out for a good 10 days.
Right.
Before
That's
she
about
got
my limit too.
she got a
People
job.
dump me after 2 weeks. It's pretty good.
2 weeks is a
Yeah.
good long one, yeah. She got a job back in Ontario at
Yeah.
Grand Bend or something, and so she left. And it was right this time of year. It was May. It was brilliant. Like I remember her picking me up at the airport, and driving in down Granville Street and the rhododendrons and the azaleas.
And you'd never been here before.
I'd never been here. And I was
Yeah.
just like, holy smokes. I felt like I was in a Rousseau painting. You know, like the colors were so vibrant. It was just unbelievable. I was like completely floored by everything. And she lived on Granville and 13th around there in some little old apartment. I just was like, wow. And then she took me out to Wreck Beach, and I was like, "Whoa, what the hell's going on here?"
Yeah.
So there was a lot of attractions, and then there was an audition for Ray Michael
Oh yeah.
at City
Yeah, yeah.
Stage, and he was doing his shows.
We should not pause,
Right.
but explain that City Stage was a. You went to the old one on Thurlow Street?
Yeah.
Was a tiny little theater.
Yeah.
It was
70 seats,
something
maybe?
like that. A real little theater, and they did usually a lunchtime
Yeah.
show for all the workers down in the skyscrapers
Yeah.
down in Vancouver, and then they did an evening show.
Yeah.
And I got to say, he's passed away. Ray has, and Mary Phillips, who
Mary
were
Phillips,
there,
oh.
two wonderful people. They gave lots of people a chance.
Yeah.
Kim Cattrall.
Really?
You know, yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. And they really were pioneers that way. Now, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
That's
but,
okay.
yeah,
No, because
that's a footnote.
I just heard about this through the woman, Colleen, and she said there's an audition. You should go. I went, great, yeah. So I went. I auditioned, and I got into the show. And then she left. Like it all happened within this like 10 days, 2
Right.
weeks maybe. Yeah. That I auditioned. All of a sudden I was in a show for 3 months, and then she was gone, and I didn't know anybody else in town except Ted Roberts. I knew Ted Roberts.
Right.
And I was in the show, and I went, okay, I guess I'm here. This is the deal.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was a great show. It was called Private Wars. It was by McClure, James McClure.
James McClure. Yeah.
Who wrote Lone Star.
Right.
And Ray had just done Lone Star
I was in Lone
and you
Star.
were in it.
Yeah.
And so this was the next play.
Yeah.
And it was same setup. 3 guys. Only we were in some VA hospital, after Vietnam, and
Right.
same-ish setup.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then he hired 3 women to do laundry and bourbon.
Right.
And then so we alternated
Right.
those shows. Like we did our lunch shows, and then while they were rehearsing, and then they did theirs, and then we did them back to back at nights. We did a double thing, and we also did what was that show? Heroes, Ken Mitchell,
Don't know.
and it was Superman and
I've
the
heard-
Lone Ranger
Right.
and Tonto.
Yeah.
And I was the Lone Ranger, and Peter Yunker was
Right.
Superman,
Right.
and Michael Bianchen was Tonto. Man, oh man, and us 3 were in the other show too,
Yeah.
so we just
Yeah.
kind of rolled forward. But that's how I got here. That's
Yeah.
how I got to Vancouver, and it was a bit of a fluke. But once I got here, I just went, well, why would I live anywhere else?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Particularly after the first winter.
yeah.
I mean,
no, it's good.
Yeah.
I remember standing outside trying to fix Ted Roberts' old Volvo, and it was like spring, and I was standing there. It was raining, and then all of a sudden I realized it was like the rain was warm, and my shoulders just went down, and I went, "That's okay. I don't mind getting wet." Like instant reaction was like, "Oh God!" But I just it's actually kind of nice. This is all good.
It took me a while. I came here to go to UBC in 1968, and I had like an 8:30 class in the morning,
Right.
and so I had to get up and get there and drive there and stuff. And I was living in this house with a bunch of young people over on 8th and Columbia, and God, it was dark in the winter. You'd get up and you'd drive, and it'd be rainy and dark, all the way out to UBC, and then you get in there and it'd be dark, and you'd fall asleep in the class. It was one of those lecture classes, And then I remember coming out of there one day, and I was in the part of the UBC, the Rose Garden, where the Rose Garden used to be. It used to be a much bigger area. And I was looking down out onto the water.
Oh my God.
And I remember thinking, this is just like one of those Japanese scrolls or
those
you know,
paintings.
and this is just now I get it.
It's
know?
tranquility. It's complete.
Boy. Yeah. But it took me a while. It took me like a year to
I hit it right off because coming here in May is brilliant.
Yeah.
Because like we were just saying, driving over here,
Mm-hmm.
You look at the flowers, you look at the greenery, everything is bursting.
It's a fabulous place to live.
Yeah.
I'm not sorry that I've been here. I've been here now 52 years.
Yeah. Wow.
And
Wow.
I am not sorry at all.
No.
No,
nor I. And you and I, we could have had different careers, maybe better careers. Who knows? But
better? What's better?
Yeah, exactly. There were options. There were career options, but every time it came up, I chose lifestyle instead of career. In terms of moving,
I did too, I think.
I just went, this is better.
I mean, we both been down to LA a few times, I guess, and I like Los Angeles. I'm one of those people that actually likes Los Angeles, which I think actually there's you could do one of those Venn diagrams, people who are crazy, people who like Los Angeles, but I really do like it. I spent some time at the Highland Gardens Hotel the last time I was there. I spent 3 weeks at that hotel, a classic place right next to Magic Castle.
Right.
I love being there. It was great. And I like the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
I went down there the first time and crashed with my friend Ty Haller.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And went to all these parties. Had a wonderful time.
Well, I think I told you before, but when I went down there, I was stuck in I was going down to do a show, and it was at Century City on the Fox lot, but they put me up in the Century Hilton or I don't know what the hell it was, but it was, nice 5-star hotel, but it was in the middle of nowhere. It was just like in the middle of freeways. You couldn't get anywhere. Yeah. And there was a shuttle bus to the Century City shopping mall that I could get and go over there and go to a restaurant or something just to see something different, but it was terrible. And then one time I went down and they put me up at the Beverly Hills Renaissance. And it was right at the end of the Beverly Hills Drive. It was like, this is a neighborhood. There's like houses around, there's people, there's a high street. And they said, we're sorry, we couldn't get you the other accommodation. I went, no. From now on,
just give up.
This is the one I want. Because I could go for a run, I mean, like there's neighborhoods and it was great.
I went down there and I had a job painting tennis courts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I got this job with this guy who was also sort of an actor, and he had started this business of painting tennis courts.
Right.
And God, what a surreal job that was. It was like an acid trip or something, It was like you get out there and you got a roller, and these big buckets, these heavy buckets, like 10 gallons of green paint.
Right.
And after a while, your visual thing goes kind of wonky, and you just sort of kind of flying in this green void. And actually, one of the ones we did was purple. A purple tennis court with yellow stripes.
Wow.
And it was like, oh my God, holy shit. Yeah, nuts,
Yeah. No, it's fun. It's good.
Yeah. But I was young.
Yeah. Yeah, and then after that, I directed my film, and I met a guy at it was great anyway, the film festival.
Yeah.
And I met this guy who was also a young guy, because I was young at the time. And he lived in LA, and I said, I go down there every once in a while. And he was working he was on NYPD Blue. He was on, like, he wasn't much, but he was like an apprentice something or other.
Uh-huh.
But he got to be in the writer's room. So he was,
Oh, great.
oh no, it was great. He had this great gig, but he said, "Here's my number. Like, really, when you're down, give me a call." So I did, and he took me around, and we hung out, and that was great. All of a sudden, it got better.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You
It's-
got a friend. You got a bit of an anchor there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That last time when I was down there doing research for a book, and I spent a lot of time in the LA library, LA City Library, which is a wonderful place. And I went through my sort of, it's not a Rolodex, but my old frayed book from, and looked up everybody I knew and, and made connections. It was pretty easy to make connections down there. That's
Yeah.
what I felt. I think everybody's in the same boat.
Yeah.
In a way, it's all there. Everybody's got a lot of free time. All the people who are in the actors and stuff and in the business, So.
Yeah, I mean, because I was just going down for a specific show, and I felt like I was locked down when I was in the hotel. I didn't, and I probably could have reached out more, but
Well, you're there just for a few days.
Yeah.
Yeah. We talked about going away from Vancouver.
Right.
Because it's a wonderful place to live, but there's a ceiling.
Yes.
The career
Yeah,
possibilities are sort of
absolutely.
limited, and you kind of hit that.
And then you have to decide.
And then you got to decide.
Yeah.
And the choices are Toronto. It's always
Right.
a choice for Canadian actors to go to Toronto.
Yeah.
Particularly somebody with theater.
Yeah.
Right. Or New York, Los Angeles, London. If you can somehow
that was
get
my
the credentials
kind of,
together,
yeah.
right?
And maybe it was
Could you have done that? Could you have done London?
Well, at the time, I think I could have, but I also, my kids were 10 years old or something, so I couldn't pack up everybody and move. I mean, and maybe I just thought of London because it was kind of out of reach. It was like kind of built-in failure or something. So I would never go. I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. But
Martin Short said this thing. I saw it. I think I've told you about this. Said, if you're a Canadian actor, you'll always be, and you're good.
Right.
Decent Canadian actor. You can make a living. You'll always make a living. You'll do some really interesting stuff. You'll work with some great people, but you'll never become a star.
Right.
You'll
Exactly.
never sort of, get out of that, thing. I actually take my hat off to all the people who have managed to get out of that, and have decided, okay, I'm going to go do it, and, manage to do it. I think that's really good. I applaud that. I applaud that commitment.
Yeah.
It's more commitment.
No, and it's drive, and you have to decide that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what you want. And I didn't. I mean, there was another time later, when I was working on a movie, and the guy who was the director, he said, "You should come to LA, man. We need you. We need 50-year-old guys who are character actors, who are really good, solid actors. We need you." And this was, probably 5 or 10 years ago, and I thought, I always used to say that my kids were the excuse why I didn't, because I didn't want to bring them up there, but they're all gone. So they moved out, and so I said, okay. And I said, listen, I just want you to, here's my tape, here's my picture, resume, whatever. Talk to your agent, talk to a couple of casting directors that, if you have anybody, and just ask the question.
Yeah.
And it came back, he said, listen, I'm really sorry.
Right. Yeah.
He said, what they told me is we don't have enough work for our A-list actors.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And he said, listen, I see the same guys every time I audition for stuff. I see the same faces.
Yeah.
And I'm desperate as a director for some new faces.
Yeah.
But the agents, the casting directors, they're trying to get work for everybody that's here. And he said, I don't think I could get you in.
The thing is, I went down there in 1978. That was
Right.
the first time I went
Right.
down. And I was committed to going down. I was going to do it. And I got an agent pretty quickly. I looked on the list of agents. Somebody had just formed an agency. I got
Right.
on as one of their people. And I had a list of people to go see,
Right.
casting directors in all these studios and whatnot.
Right.
And the thing at that time, and it may have changed, right, was I had come out of theater.
Right.
My basic resume had, this much film
Right.
and like that much theater.
Right.
A huge amount of theater. And that caught everybody's eye.
Huh.
That actually got me in. a
Wow.
lot of doors,
Interesting.
Right? It was because, oh yeah, well, it's like, you can do it.
Right.
You
yeah,
can do it for like 2 hours.
Right.
Yeah. You can do it for 2 hours, 7 days a week. It's not like you're gonna screw up.
Yeah.
So, that got me in a bunch of doors, and actually got me a job and all that. But it was. We minimize theater, like you want to be
Right.
a film actor.
Right.
You think, I got to get a bunch of film. But that theater thing worked really well. That's just advice for young, wanting to.
Well, what's interesting too about that. I think that's very true. I mean, you have to learn in the theater.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, our resumes, your resume, my resume, with film stuff is way more than
Oh, yeah.
anybody in LA,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like we've worked way more.
Because we've been here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've done everything.
Yeah.
And it's remarkable when people say, and they look you up, right? Like a director or somebody, and they go, "Holy shit!"
200 IMDb. Whoa.
So we did Love and Anger.
Love and Anger. Yeah. It's a great show.
So, but something you just said reminded me, because I did it again at the Citadel.
Oh wow. Okay. Cool.
And there was a guy in it, and he was a film actor. He was like a TV actor,
Right.
and he had a complete meltdown one time in rehearsal. Like I can't remember what the scene was, but he started banging this chair, and I thought, that's great. We're acting away, banging the chair. And then he just kept banging the chair, and he went, I can't stand it. And he threw the chair, and he went running out.
Whoa.
And I looked at the director, and he said, I think we should take lunch.
Yeah.
And I said, you better check the airport. Like, he's a movie actor. He's got lots of money. He doesn't care.
Yeah. Right.
He said, well, we'll let you know. Okay, so, but when I talked to him afterwards, he settled down. Everything was fine. But when I talked to him afterwards, he said, I couldn't remember what it was like to act for more than 2 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
And it was just like he was just struggling with it, right?
Yeah.
He was just freaking out.
Sure.
It'd
be terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be terrifying.
Yeah.
Even for people who've done it, it's terrifying.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
But that's where you make your bones, right?
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, we're on.
So I just want to tell everybody, there's a Sunday in August, a Pinot Gris, a blush Pinot Gris that have the skins left in. And then we're moving on to the Hatfields Fuse from Blasted Church. They're both BC wines.
Let's put that up here where we can see it. Beautiful label.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. Mm-hmm. And it's quite a tasty wine, and it's on sale right now.
By the time
It's not going to help.
By the time this hits YouTube, they'll be in the next year's.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everybody I knew came from Toronto. I was the only guy that wasn't. And so I would go to Toronto and I would hang out with all these guys. They were great, good friends, good actors, and they were all, peers, and everybody, like we were in the same kind of bucket, But when I was in Toronto and doing the auditions and going to different things and starting to see the field there, I realized that I would have to become very competitive, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I know myself that I would become aggressive and I would become slightly abrasive, and I didn't want to do that.
Yeah. My question is, how can you compete as an actor? How can you compete? I mean, like
Yeah, I don't
You know, I mean, do you try to find out what's shooting next ahead of the next guys? Do you think how can you get in there earlier?
Well, you can't
Or
really get in.
can you kiss somebody's ass?
Yeah, you can
more?
do that.
Yeah, I know
And-
people who have done that.
Right,
Who have
and
done that strategy,
also think about, you know, I know you're not doing it anymore, but and nobody is right now. But when you sit in the waiting room at auditions,
Mhm.
some people actively try to undermine people's confidence, not in an overt way.
Yeah. No, I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I see that behavior, and I just go, okay, and I just like try to put the blinkers on. I say hi to the people I know, and I just kind of
Yeah, I try to go to my little happy place
Yeah.
and pace up and down the hall or
Yeah.
whatever it is, and
Yeah.
not pay attention to anything.
But I
Yeah.
think those are the
Yeah.
things that you would start to use just because it had that feel to it.
Gamesmanship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'll tell you a couple of stories here. So Dr. Lee, the part I played on Stargate for
Okay.
years and years,
Yeah.
I went to the audition. I got the thing, Dr. Lee, blah blah, sides, whatever, and I'm sitting in the waiting room, and there's 6 Asian women
Wow.
and me, and I'm going.
That,
So I-
that is. Yeah. Okay.
I was outside, and
Yeah.
it was obviously I wouldn't have got cast now because everybody's looking for all the different, and so they should
Possibly,
be.
yes,
Yeah.
right.
But then there was another one. So that was one where, and I actually phoned my agent. I said, "Am I at the right place? Like, are you sure this is?" He said, "Yeah. They wanted you." Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, and then here's a good story. X-Files, in the
Uh-huh.
old days,
Yeah.
there was a part that said, an Alex Dyken type. Like,
Oh yes. I was like a good friend of mine. Yeah. Right.
that was very funny.
I went to an audition once that said this is a southern law enforcement guy with an accent like Stephen Miller.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah.
And I didn't get it. You know.
I know. I don't think Dyken got that part either. I think
Yeah,
I think
perfect,
somebody else.
perfect.
I think somebody else got it. But it's hilarious. So
Yeah.
the sheriff part,
Yeah.
yes. I mean, how many million times we go for the sheriff, and you also know the ones who always get that
Yeah,
part,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And so, okay, whatever. But it's my job to audition. I'm happy to audition.
Yeah.
So now the difference is, so there was maybe 6 people that come in for a part, and
Yeah.
they've gone through the whole. I used to tell people, like going to an art gallery. You go to an art gallery, you see the pictures that are on, like a commercial art gallery, you see the pictures that are on the wall. And then if you ask, you go downstairs and there's racks and racks and
Oh, yes.
racks of
Oh, yeah.
paintings from people they represent.
Yeah.
And you can go and look through those. But then you got to think there's so many people who are trying to seek representation.
Yeah.
And they're like firing off pictures to the gallery every week. They're writing them letters, all that kind of stuff. And I tell people, I say this is what acting's like. Like to actually get to the place where somebody's actually going to see you. To get on the gallery wall, it takes a long, like there's a huge sorting process before you
Yeah.
even get there.
Yeah.
And so we're at that very kind of thin edge, and we're
Yeah.
just good fortune, and all
Just
the rest.
lucky. Came
Yeah.
along at the right time. You know, being an actor on a movie set is like being a crew member of a submarine. You know,
You
You're
gotta
gonna
get
be in
along.
this
Yeah.
little group for a long time under
Yeah.
excruciating circumstances. You got to be the kind of guy who's you think, yeah, I'd love to be in a submarine with that guy.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
He's going to be fun.
Right.
He's going to be a nice guy to be confined
No
with.
problems.
If
Yeah.
I was in jail, he would be on
I
the
would
top
take.
bunk.
Yeah.
You know?
I would take that.
You know,
Yeah.
Right. So you're still auditioning, or
Yeah.
what else? Producing, writing, any of those kinds of things?
Yeah. Well, we got picked out of the
The CBC.
CBC thing,
Yeah.
right? Merton Kinch and I to write a pilot for a series, which we did, but CBC was having some major growing pains at the time, and
Yeah.
who knows? But so the producer that picked us basically got turfed and so
Oh,
we got turfed.
that's not good.
No, we got turfed along with her, and
Yeah.
we got handed over to the person who's doing.
The turfing.
Yeah, and doing features, CBC features, and
Whoa.
she said, I can't produce this. It's a pilot, but if you got a feature, I'd love to see
You
it.
mean CBC feature films?
Yeah.
Wow, that's
So-
new. I didn't even know they were doing that.
No, well, I don't think anybody does. So one
Have they
wonders.
done any?
One
One
wonders
wonders, yeah.
how much.
Sorry, I didn't mean to talk
Yeah,
out of
yeah.
school. Yeah.
Anyway, so doing a little bit of writing,
Yeah.
and I'm teaching now.
Yeah, and this is the thing that when the last time we did talking
Yeah, yeah.
about this, we were talking about. You said you had gone when you were in Regina. You'd gone to university and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
dropped out or something after
Yeah, yeah.
a year, and then you'd gone back and you
Yeah.
dropped out, and you kind of decided not to go into education, and you do all this stuff. Now you're an educator.
Yes, here I am. Here I
You got
am.
a PhD.
Yes.
You're an educator. You're this guy who couldn't stand, to be.
Well, I always actually. So here's the truth about that. I always liked the idea of teaching, and I liked the idea of being an educator. I didn't like the hoops that you went through,
Yeah.
and I didn't like. I didn't. So there's a whole field of study now that is education,
Oh yes.
which
yes.
is about how to teach and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not entirely sold on that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more about subject matter expert and
Right.
being a good
Right,
communicator.
that's good.
Right?
That makes sense. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know a lot now
Yeah.
about how to act and how to direct and a little bit about how to write.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel good about teaching those things.
Yeah.
And I know I'm a good communicator, and I know I care about the students, and those are the things to me. I don't know. Well, I do, but I try not to pay attention to things like learning outcomes and educational objectives and writing, lesson plans and all that kind of stuff. It's like I don't want to be involved in that type of education that has all those metrics and markers,
Yeah.
which is what's going on right now.
Yeah.
And so,
Has that ever not been going on? I mean, I just remember the whole thing was being an A student.
Right.
Getting a 4.
right, and how do you get that? Where you check these
Yeah,
boxes,
yeah.
and so, yeah. I mean, I think there's a difference between knowledge and education.
Oh.
And I think there's, I think people should and experience and all those kind of things. So anyway, I feel now like I'm at a place where I know enough that I've got something to give back.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to be doing it, and I'm happy to evolve into that. But I always thought teaching was it should be a more highly regarded profession.
Yeah.
I just think the way you could flunk out of every school in the university, and the last place that you would end up is education, and you would go to the education department, and then you would get through, But you could not be a doctor, you could not be a lawyer, you could not be you could flunk out of everything. You could flunk out of pretty much everything, and then the bottom line is, I could be a teacher.
I hope that's changed.
I hope so
really
too.
do.
I mean, it's undercompensated, and that speaks to some of the ills of our society.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's undervalued, which is shocking because, most people have kids.
If you were doing a game simulation of
Yeah.
life on Earth,
Yeah.
right, and you thought, well, will this tribe of people succeed? Will this tribe of people fail? When you say that, like, putting more money into education would be a good
It seems like a good idea.
I mean, hey,
Yeah.
or no, let's make more merchants,
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Lenders.
Yeah, lenders.
Let's crank up the
Let's see if
banking.
we can't have another financial movement. The world is going to hell in a handbasket. We know that.
Yeah, it is. There's no question.
How's the pandemic been for you? Have you like
Well, it's strange.
you're vaccinated? You've had your first shot.
First shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've got the AstraZeneca, which now
Okay.
all of a sudden we're getting all this contraindication.
Any clots?
No, not so far. I still see the blood flows.
yeah, right. Yeah.
And I was really happy to get it.
Uh-huh.
Like
Me too.
when they shut it down, so you've got to be between. 55 and 64. I went, okay, man, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in. I know. Sign me up, and I signed up for a bunch of pharmacies, and then I got it. I was very, very happy, and I still am.
Yeah.
Very happy to have it.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens next.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But
What about your kids?
well, I saw Malcolm last night. He's on this interesting journey.
Okay.
He's becoming a sound guy.
Yeah. You mean a sound guy as opposed to a musician?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Or in addition to being.
in addition to being a musician, and in addition to being a composer and a sound designer, he's now becoming a sound guy for film.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. So he had this gig, so he's got a gig with Bard on the Beach. They're shooting one of their shows, like we were talking before. It's like I think everybody's going to be streaming or filming or something from here on in.
Yeah.
But they wanted somebody who knew theater
Yeah.
and who knew how to do sound for movies.
Yeah.
And he's the guy.
Yeah.
He has both those capabilities.
Yeah. Good.
So this is his first gig as a sound mixer recorder. Like he's been the boom guy and stuff like that. And
Yeah, I did that a couple of times.
hard job.
Very difficult job.
Yeah.
There's two jobs in the world that people don't realize how difficult they are. One is being a sound boom guy, and the other one is being one of those traffic flaggers on,
Oh,
the,
yeah.
on the street. When they're doing construction.
Yeah.
Like they're doing constantly here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Constant.
Should we send a shout out to our C camera operator,
Yes.
Susie Payne?
Susie Payne.
The Susie Payne,
The Susie Payne.
who's put up with.
We're just gonna
She's
look
taking
at
pictures of
the garden. Yeah. These are
yeah.
cutaways. You're gonna need these.
These are cutaways. Definitely they're away. Yeah.
Well, we're looking at the lettuce pot.
There's a
Are we
pinwheel over there,
featuring the greens?
There's some chard over
Some
there.
chard. I see the
Yeah.
chard and the pepper. Are those peppers?
No.
No. No, I wouldn't think. Even with doing shows where you have to control some things,
Yeah.
you always look for the happy accident. That's what I
yeah.
remember.
Yeah,
you
for
know?
sure.
And in the theater, same as on TV. Or
That was
film.
DaVinci's.
Yeah.
The happy
The
accident.
happy
was
accident.
DaVinci's.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about that. We talked about in the previous thing, but that show was all about happy accidents, I think.
Oh, totally. And it was yes.
Yeah.
And you could see it, but it was organic, and there was such vitality to that show.
DaVinci's Inquest.
Yeah.
And DaVinci City Hall.
Yeah, and I think it deteriorated from DaVinci's Inquest through DaVinci City Hall.
We can talk about that.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Into the next.
I remember
one,
seeing an episode of City Hall that Sterling Gunnarsson.
Oh yeah, well, Stu.
And I remember seeing that show, and I wasn't in that episode, and I watched it, and I thought, this is the best television show I've ever seen.
Wow. Okay.
And I just thought, and a lot of it had to do with the script,
Yeah.
and because it for me it worked like one of those unanticipated,
Right.
discoveries, and Sterling caught it. It was just lovely, and Nick Campbell.
Oh, Nick Campbell, brilliant. I remember a show that you did of DaVinci's Inquest that I wasn't in, which was about a traffic accident, and you were there, and you were kind of
I was the traffic accident guy. That
right,
was
and
my-
you were just kind of mapping out the scene of the thing,
yeah.
and the way it was shot was so good. It was just it just slayed me. Sterla,
Yeah,
brilliant guy,
yeah.
and I
Nice
remem-
guy. Yeah.
really nice guy, and a great director, I think. And I did some show with him, and I don't remember what it was, but the script supervisor said, like, I was supposed to be a cop, and I was supposed to be interrogating somebody, and it was the time when you smoked, even though I'd quit smoking at the time.
Yes.
But
Oh,
I was
God.
supposed to smoke.
Oh yeah.
And the script supervisor said to him, "We're not matching on the smoking."
Oh.
And Sterling said, "I don't want to match. Why would I want to match? That's crazy." He said, and then he said to me, "Bill, I want you to switch hands. I want you to smoke with your other hand every take. I want you to switch hands,
Yeah.
and I just want to make sure that we don't match And I went,
Okay.
Sterling, I got
Done.
that.
I
That
can do it. I'm left-handed. I'm right-handed.
And it was strange, but it was funny. But through that, I knew what he was going to do with the scene, right?
Yeah.
Like you can
Yeah.
tell
Yeah.
that it's going to be some kind of psychological interpretation, some
Sure.
kind of, a different take
Time
on yeah.
was gonna.
Yeah. And I go,
Yeah.
that's great. Like,
Yeah.
that's just brilliant,
Yeah.
And he's
He's
deconstructing.
got a great eye, that guy.
Yeah.
Did you ever work with Phil Borsos? Did you ever meet him?
I met him. I didn't
Yeah.
work with him. Yeah.
There was a guy who had a fantastic eye.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the Gray Fox,
Oh, yeah.
Nails,
No,
Spar
Nails,
Tree.
Nails was a brilliant movie. I mean, The
Oh,
Gray Fox was
yeah.
great. That
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
great
Gray Fox, terrific.
Yeah.
film. I was so
But
glad. I
Nails.
did
I
that,
love that movie.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spar Tree is pretty incredible.
Yeah, yeah.
People should look at Phil Borsos, who's kind of been forgotten now because he died so young.
Yes.
And
yeah.
but he kind of came. The big thing that he did, which is where photography is going all this time, is that he was completely committed to the best image he could come
That's
up with.
yeah, absolutely.
The image was sort of, it wasn't everything by any means,
Yeah.
but it was
That was
the
the primacy,
foundation,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
and then there was everything else on top of that. And his eye was, he had a great eye.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? What do you want to do? What would you, if somebody said, okay, Bill, hi, Bill, hello, hi, is that Bill? Yes. Bill, what would you like to do? The budget's unlimited.
Oh, I hate that. That's the worst. I want a limited budget.
Okay, the
I
budget
want-
is limited, but I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Yeah.
Bill.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay.
I would. Well. Oh man, there's a few. There's
A short list.
Yeah, the movie that we were working on, that we were trying to pitch.
The Ancients.
Yeah, I would go for that.
Our friend Aaron Bishkowski's.
Yeah,
movie.
that's one. That'd
No,
be
I
fun.
love that script. That's
yeah,
a great script.
that'd be fun. And the TV show that Martin and I wrote, I would do that.
Good.
In the theater, I would adapt Greek tragedies.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what I did.
Are you
right?
like a Greek tragedy?
Yeah, yeah. That's
tragedian?
That's what my PhD kind of boils down to, is Greek tragedy. But they're so good. The plays are so good, and they speak so much to who we are and what we're doing.
You're a better academic than I am.
But
No, I love it. You know, somebody who I think did that really nicely. It was Woody Allen.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
was-
yeah.
I can't remember the
Mighty
movie.
Aphrodite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really pretty cool.
No, it was great. It was
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
The way he dealt with the chorus was very, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love it. I mean, some of those stories are fantastic. Like, and some of them have evolved. They've turned up. So I taught a course once, a university course for graduate students, and it was Shakespeare in migration. And so Shakespeare that had been taken into modern adaptations of film or theater or something like that.
Sure.
And so I picked a bunch, and I had the original Shakespeare's, and then I had the students, because it was a small class, probably 12 or 15 graduate students, and they would bring in their own versions, and then we would talk about them. It was so exciting, so much fun.
Yeah.
And I found some brilliant shows. There's an African version of Julius Caesar that is incredible.
Wow.
Yeah, no,
Wow.
and it's set in a defunct mall. Like it's like the escalator. He dies on an escalator. They kill him on an escalator, but the escalator doesn't work.
Have I seen this?
It was from Britain. I think it was a British production, but it was.
Yeah.
But it was so good. I mean, and so many different things, and so I think it's about migrating these things, and also, of course, fostering New Canadian stuff. Like I don't know what it is though. I don't know what New Canadian stuff is, and
I think New Canadian stuff now, and we're in a different time now because of all the different. How can we say this? the whole woke
Yeah,
thing
yeah, no,
and bringing in all the
recognizing all the-
marginalized
yeah.
groups. I think New Canadian stuff now is all about kind of filling in the blanks.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
that's great.
it's not about it's not about stuff in Vancouver and Toronto.
Right.
It's about stuff up in Churchill. And,
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's about dealing with people who've been completely underrepresented and stories that haven't been told at all.
Well,
You
I know
Yeah.
what impelled me into the theater to begin with was to create a Canadian literature of
Yeah.
theater.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what I did. I worked in new playthings and all that kind of stuff
Yeah.
until I had kids, and then I had to make money, and then I had to change that initiative.
Yeah, everything there's the realities of life do intrude on
Yeah.
on your 20-year-old plan.
Yes, exactly.
You know, yeah. But that's okay. That's good. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
That's, you grow and learn. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, and now you come back and you go, okay, well let's figure out what's next. You know?
When I was a kid, and we've talked about this too, the idea of being an actor or being on a TV show or being in a
No.
movie was like
That was
being
completely unheard of.
being a starting quarterback for the Rams or something. It was completely unheard of.
It was
illogical.
even less than that. Like I
Yeah.
could imagine being a football player,
Yeah,
but I couldn't imagine being an actor. I didn't even know that was a category.
yeah,
Like I went to the Saskatchewan Roughriders football games.
yeah, right, yeah,
And so I saw those guys and I thought, okay, that's a category. And I played football. I knew what that was.
yeah.
But acting was not a category. It was
Yeah.
just like, that's something, I don't know where that comes from.
Yeah.
Never even heard of it. The last great location movie I did was, what was it called? The Big Year. It was a bird watching movie.
Yes, I auditioned for that.
Yeah.
Steve Martin,
Steve Martin,
Yeah.
Jack Black,
Jack Black,
Owen
Oh, yeah.
Wilson,
Yeah, great.
oh,
great.
Angelica Houston.
Yeah.
Oh,
Marvelous.
so much fun.
Yeah.
So I was on it, and we went
Whitehorse. You went up to Whitehorse.
to Whitehorse.
I have a friend who was up in Whitehorse who was okay. Keep going.
who was
Yeah.
got onto
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Well, we went like an hour and a half up the Dempster Highway from Whitehorse every day. Like that was, we get up and whatever the hell the call was,
Yeah.
but it didn't matter because it was daylight. It was like it was. We were in
Yeah.
May. We were about this time of year, and so the sun never set. Anyway, I went down for about an hour, and we would drive up the Dempster Highway, and then we'd go there and shoot for however long, and then we'd drive back, and it was still daylight.
Yeah.
And then you'd kind of ride the rails of the town of Whitehorse, go to the have the ice worm cocktail and the sourdough cocktail.
I've never been up there. I'd
Oh
love to be
man,
up
it's
there.
good.
Yeah.
So that was one, and then we went to Tofino,
Yes.
which of course is
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Long Beach. We
Yeah.
stayed in, fantastic accommodation, and Angelica Houston was the skipper of the boat that we were supposed to be on.
Right.
But the great thing about it was, like, they were doing these exteriors, but we were on the boat, so they were taking pictures of her in the pilot house or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but we were kind of confined to quarters in this little
Down underneath
stateroom,
the boat. Yeah.
with Jack Black and Steve Martin and Owen Wilson,
Oh my
and we're all
God.
just like sitting there telling stories,
Oh,
right? Oh no, it was
I
too
can't
good.
believe it. That'd
It
be
was too good.
wonderful.
Yeah, and I can't remember the guy's name. Blake Nelson. He was there too, and he was great because he was like a master of ceremonies.
Yeah.
Like he was kind of an intermediary, But we were on a boat, so like nobody could escape.
Yes, nobody
So
could
we
escape.
were just
Yeah,
driving back,
yeah.
and every once in a while everybody would have to go up on deck and look through binoculars or whatever.
Yeah.
But I remember the conversation. I tell this to film students or acting students all the time. I say, I was sitting there with these people, we were chatting, and somebody said that they were friends with whoever was writing the next Batman movie, and blah 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 blah. And so, and then we were just kind of sitting there and kind of blue skying about what the next Batman movie would be. And then somehow we all looked at Jack Black, and we went, "The Penguin. You should be the next Penguin." That's like, and everybody went, "Man, that's a brilliant idea.
Right
let me call.
I'll call him. Yeah.
And Jack Black just went, "No." And this was a few years ago, so it's a little sad now. But he said, "I'm going to say 3 words: Philip Seymour Hoffman."
Ah, yes, right. Yeah.
And I just went, like it crystallized. I mean, it's sad now because, of course, we've lost him, and he was a brilliant, brilliant actor.
Yeah, really.
But it just tells you that no matter what list you think you're the A-list of, there's always some other guy.
There's always a faster gun.
Yeah. Isn't it true?
Yeah.
Like, and I just saw that with Jack Black because he was dead serious. And he is one of the funniest, most entertaining. He's a great actor.
Yeah.
And he just went, no. Philip Seymour
Tropic
Hoffman.
Thunder.
Yeah. Oh, such a good movie. And what's the Mexican?
Luchadors.
Luchador.
Whatever it is.
So
I
good.
can't remember the title.
Yeah.
He's so good in that.
Mucho Lucha.
Yeah,
or something.
he's got the Spanish thing down. He's
no, he's so good, and he's always so funny.
He does better than Antonio Banderas. Yeah.
No, and he's so funny.
Yeah.
Like, and Owen Wilson, hilarious.
Yeah, Owen Wilson.
And Steve Martin would drag out his banjo and play songs for us every once in a while.
I don't even want to think about that guy.
No, and
he's incredible.
Angelica Houston staying at the same hotel. We go for dinner.
That's great, man. That's a good ensemble.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
That's a really good ensemble. It's nice to meet all these people. It's
It really is.
great. And you meet people who are your heroes.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky and you get it, you meet people who are your heroes
and they're good. That's my experience. Like I've always heard lots of things. I don't know if my mic is off.
Your mic is on.
I've heard lots of things about, people having trouble with
Disappointed.
Yeah,
Disappointed.
Never. I can't think of one. So we're doing Legends of the Fall, and we're down in Gastown. Like we'd done this stuff over, we did the location stuff again. Brilliant location. I'll tell you a story about that too. Tony Hopkins, but Brad Pitt. So we're in Gastown. There's hundreds of extras.
Yeah, right.
And there's kids and there's horses and it's like they've covered all of Gastown with like dirt, so it feels like 1914 or 18 or whatever the hell it is, and it's hot.
Yeah.
And we're all lined up, and there's like hundreds of people around, and the ADs are going, get Brad Pitt, get Brad Pitt.
Where's Brad?
Where's Brad? Like, I'm gonna have to break the kids. And he didn't come, and everybody's going, fuck, shit, man, what the hell, what the prima donna, blah blah blah. And when he came out, and he took his time, but he was in a bubble. He had put himself into a bubble, and he took this calmness and this peace with him through all this kind of craziness, and everybody saying, where are you, where the fuck are you? And he just went, because he had to be the brother meeting his brother who had betrayed him and ultimately killed their other brother through it, and he had to do this scene, which was a reunification scene. It was unbelievable. And I took a lesson from that, and I went, everybody has their agenda about what they need to get done, but you have to just stick with what you need to get done.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you're going to tank the movie.
Yeah.
And ultimately, whether the kids have to get paid $200 more bucks, or what, whether they have to break the horses or whatever the hell has to happen. You have to do your job, and it's like it's a lesson from sports too. It's like you can only do the thing that you can do at the moment.
Yeah.
And he was so good. He was in that shot. He was so good.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget. And he picked the little kid up and he put him up on his shoulders, and then he kind of stuck out his hand to Aidan Quinn, and and it was like, but it's the end of the movie. You got to bring it home, right?
Great cast, eh?
Oh, so good,
Yeah.
so good.